Hey guys, how's it going? I'm Sydney from PhoneDog.com, and welcome to this week's episode of Phone Dog Live. Welcome to the show. As you can see, you're over there, you're on that side. We have a special guest this week. This is Warren Bowman from
Mhm.
BW1.com. He's actually one of our experts on Phone Dog's official smartphone rankings. You guys probably see the main list that we have of the top 5 phones by the experts, but we actually have individual lists. So you can see my list, you can see Warren's list, you can see, I think we have about 12 experts, if I'm not mistaken, from a couple of different websites. We have a couple of Best Buy employees that also submit their lists. But Warren is one of those experts, and so I thought we'd have him on the show to kind of talk about his rankings and his thoughts, because I know you guys are kind of curious. Like, you wonder, why isn't the Galaxy Note number 2, or why is the iPhone 4 number 1? And so we'll be able to talk about that. If you're watching on Ustream, thanks for being here. If you're watching on YouTube, check out the description below the video, because I'll have a timeline there. We have a couple of other topics that we're going to talk about as well. So let's get started. Warren, first of all, what was your list? What did you have for 1 through 5?
All right, for starting off at number five, it had the Samsung Epic 4G Touch, basically their version of the Galaxy S2.
Oh,
At number four, I had the Samsung Galaxy Note. Number three, the Droid Razr Max. Number two, the Nokia Lumia 900, and my current number one, the HTC One X.
oh, okay. You were going backwards. Okay, I was writing this down.
Oh,
Oh, okay. So you had Epic 5, Note 4, and then 3. What was
the
it?
Ra- the
The
Droid
Razor.
Razr
Okay,
Max,
and then the Lumia. Okay, so what was your number 1 phone again?
the HTC One X.
Oh, okay, cool. And I was looking at all the experts list, and I noticed that some of us didn't have the Galaxy S3 on there. I asked Taylor and I think Evan about it, and they said it just wasn't an option. Was that the same for you, or what was your thinking on that?
That's because I haven't used it yet. I
Oh,
don't want
okay,
to put
yeah,
on a phone that I have not actually personally
good
used
point.
before. I've only seen it I saw it in New Orleans at CTIA, so I've only had like maybe 10 minutes with it at the best.
Yeah, that's actually a good point, and that's kind of one of the reasons why it is sometimes difficult to make these top 5 lists when I haven't. I mean, we've had hands-on time with most of these phones just because of our jobs, but for the most part, Aaron, he'll do the review, or someone else might do the review, so I don't intimately know it, but I do like your list. The One X, I have the One X as number 3. Okay, so
Mm,
here's my list. I have the Galaxy S3 number 1, Evo 4G LTE number 2, and then the One X, iPhone 4S as number 4, and then I have the One S as number 5. But going
uh,
back to the Evo 4G LTE and the One X, that was difficult. I really wanted to have them kind of switch, but actually once I looked at the spec sheet, um, and kind of read some more reviews and saw how people kind of felt about it, I felt like the Evo should have been more number 2. I like, interesting, having the Lumia 900 as number 2. What are kind of your thoughts on that? And then you don't even have the iPhone on here. I'm actually kind of surprised by that.
I mean, the iPhone is now going close to almost 8 months old now. There's a
Yeah.
lot of other devices out there that have leaped over that particular device right now, so it's kind of it seems like everybody's putting the iPhone on there, and it's trying to change it up a little bit. iPhone
Yeah.
is like it's just like everybody's putting that on their list, and there are phones that are just honestly better than that phone that are out right now. But yeah, I kind of felt putting the Lumia 900 on there because it's kind of like as far as Windows phones are concerned, because I tried to mix it up a little bit. That's probably the
Yeah.
best one that's out right now,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
as smartphones in general, that's probably the best deal, being only $99.
That's true. Actually, that's a really good point. I previously had the Lumia number 5, but once the Evo came out and the Galaxy S3 came out, I didn't have enough spots. Um, there was, okay, yeah, and then the iPhone. Yeah, I previously had the iPhone. I think it was number 2, but then again, all the new phones that came out. And it's still, I mean, I would say it's still a good device. And obviously, if you don't like Android, it's between Windows Phone and the iPhone. And the Lumia 900 and the iPhone 4S probably, your two best options outside of Android. But yeah, like what you said, I mean, there's so many phones that have a larger screen, it's a better display, um,
Yeah. I
better.
can rip I can rip the iPhone to death. It's like the better,
Yeah.
bigger screen, better display. There's some phones that actually have honestly have a better camera. There's some phones that have just better software right now. Like um, iOS lives off the fact of apps. If it wasn't for the fact that it had an app store, it couldn't really survive. The whole, as you hear thunder going around, it's a thunderstorm going
Yeah.
passing through Boston right now. But iOS and stuff, if you look at the beginnings of the operating system, when it first came out, it was just kind of a feature device. It was a very feature-esque OS. And then once they kind of opened up apps and it kind of became a smartphone in some ways, but realistically, it's like all the apps add on to it. At its core, it's still lacking a lot of things that I think Android and even in some cases Windows Phone kind of has at its core that Apple doesn't have right now. I mean, the whole sort of, a lot of people want widgets and they don't really have that. A lot of people, they kind of have the folders thing, which they kind of solved with that. But there's just some nuances of like when I was trying to send an email off of my cousin's iPhone, and I had to attach. I wanted to attach like 10 pictures or so. And Android, it just lets you do it. And Windows Phone lets you do it. I'm limited to six. I can only send six pictures or a certain set of pictures, and it's just like, really,
Why?
why? And
Yeah.
then I was trying to back up her phone because she wanted to have all her pictures backed up and stuff because she doesn't have a computer shooting it right now, so she wanted me to back it up on my desktop. So I'm here backing up and I'm looking in iTunes and the god awful program iTunes is on Windows, and I'm looking through it and there's no way to actually just hit. I just want to back up the pictures, and then I'm looking through iCloud and I'm trying to find where. Okay, how do I get this to sync to iCloud? Oh, I can't choose which which photos go to iCloud.
Yeah.
Like, what is this? I mean, one of my biggest things I probably with iOS, besides all that, is the fact that it's not cloud ready at all. It's trying to be a cloud OS that isn't. It isn't like Android where it's made to be sort of work in sort of a cloud environment. iOS and the iPhone in general is just kind of made to. You might be able to set it up without a computer, but you still need a computer to pretty much do everything else. Even though they have iCloud, which I think is a joke. I don't really. It's not like with Android where your contacts are synced and they're just in your Gmail or you sync your photos with Picasa and it's just synced. You don't have to set or do anything or change anything with it. It just goes. And and probably part of the reason is because data plans are dying. It's because of the iPhone, because of the way iPhone sends out data, because they just chuck the data out there. They don't
Yeah.
optimize it. So if you wonder why unlimited plans are going away, blame the iPhone.
That's one thing I will say, and this is kind of on a side note about data. One thing that BlackBerry has that's nice is the data efficiency. I mean, and not to get on a whole thing about that, but that is a very good point. That was one of the things that I did appreciate is, emails, everything. It was very data efficient. But okay, so do you in the foreseeable future, maybe with like the iPhone S, what would Apple have to do to make the iPhone hands down number one, or at least close to it?
They need to just get. They need to further look at Android, see some of the things that Android does, make things a little bit easier, make me not have to go into 7 or 8 different menus to get to one thing. Especially when I have to go into settings, go to here, to go to here, to go to here. Like it just needs to be a
It's
lot
so
more.
loud.
I think they just need to redefine the OS a little bit. It's kind of hard to explain exactly because there's all these little things that I could kind of mention about it.
Yeah.
But overall, they need to refresh. They need to have some type of widget platform where you can kind of customize the look and feel a little bit more. And they need to have a different way to go about multitasking, a little bit more. I want it to be a little bit more how Android is, I would say. I mean, I don't want them to copy Android, but look
Yeah.
at your competitors and try to at least try to do something similar to it. And with And with that, it's just that I would just like to see a refresh and it just work better with the cloud. Because right now they have iCloud, but it doesn't feel like how Windows Phone and Android feels like it works in a cloud and PC-less environment. The most the iPhone can really do is it can set up on its own in the PC, but it doesn't feel like anything else is kind of like that.
Yeah. What do you think about all of these leaked videos of the hardware? We don't know if it's real, but just, for the sake of discussion, say they are. We have a larger screen, unibody construction kind of gives us an idea that it might be LTE. Does that make you think that the next iPhone, it will be another beast, or that Apple is kind of falling behind?
I think they'll get on par with everybody else because right now every single smartphone that's going to come out is going to have some type of dual core or quad core processor, especially on the higher end side of things. 1 or 2 gigs of RAM and 16 or 32 gigabytes of storage and some 8 megapixel camera. The specs are going to pretty much be all the same across the board in a hardware. And as far as a hardware perspective is concerned, what's really going to matter, I think, more for the iPhone, besides kind of catching up in specs, making that larger screen and getting the LTE and stuff like that, it's really going to be what do they do in terms of software to make the experience a lot better.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, last question. Are you gonna get the Galaxy S3 first of all? Or
Yes, I am. I actually
okay.
pre-ordered my Galaxy S3,
Oh, okay.
the 32 gigabyte version.
Okay. Do you have any idea or any guesses where it might be on your list once you get a chance to use it?
There's a very good chance it's probably going to end up being number one over the
Oh,
HTC
okay.
One X.
Yeah. And honestly, I think between the One X and the Galaxy S3, I've seen them fly. Some people have the One X one, Galaxy S3 two, and then the other way around. Honestly, I think they're both nearly equal. I've seen, video samples. The Galaxy S3 has a slightly better camera. I think it has better battery life. There's just a couple of things that put it over the One X, but really they're almost negligible. It's kind of like the best of both worlds. You've got HTC hardware and UI, and then Samsung hardware and UI, and the best of that. But we'll wait for that. And are you going to have a review on your site?
Oh yeah, definitely. We'll
Okay.
have a review on the site.
Okay. So,
I think where and the Galaxy S3 is going to win, and I actually spoke with one of the VPs at CTA from Samsung about this. I think where they're going to be a little bit better is going to be in terms of the software side of things. I think a lot of things that they're doing with TouchWiz and the Nature UX interface is going to be the things that's going to separate itself from HTC in a lot of ways. I think HTC, this is the first time they put out a decent UI because I've bashed what's it,
since
Sense.
I have to.
I remember from the Windows Mobile days when it was called TouchFlow, and
Touch
it's
flow,
been
yeah.
crap since then. And this is the first time it has not been crap. I told their community manager that I literally went to the community manager in his face and told him that Sense sucked, and all of a sudden Sense 4 came out. So apparently they heard what I had to say.
Nice.
But
Okay.
the it's the first time they put on a decent, sort of overlay on it that's pretty okay to use and stuff like that. What I've seen out of the Galaxy S3 in terms of the software side of things with the S Voice, which they kind of had that a little bit before. Now they just kind of made it a little more Siri like. A lot of the camera features, a lot of the Nature UX features, and things like that. And overall UI, I see them leaping above HTC in terms of that, especially with the against the One X. I also it really it's an advantage to be that thin and still have a removable battery and still have the ability to expand your storage on it. So those two things alone are going to get a lot of people to want to grab it, and it also the fact that it's pretty much the same across all the carriers, which
Yeah.
is really key thing. That's going to create a lot of accessories that are going to be able to be made for it. So that's going to also allow people to sort of enhance their purchase when they buy it. So they can buy the phone, and there's going to be a bunch of accessories available starting off and then going forward, which is just going to help them, make the phone a whole lot better. So I think that's really where I think, for now, where I think Samsung's going to kind of leap over HTC.
Yeah, a huge advantage. Okay, cool. Well, thanks for sharing your thoughts on your list. So the review will be on bw1.com, and
Yep.
you're on Twitter too. I don't remember your screen name.
Hold on, say that again. There's a bunch of thunder
Oh
going
no, it's
on
okay.
around.
You're on Twitter too, but I don't remember your screen name. You let the guys know that.
Oh, on Twitter, it's bw1.com with the DOT spelt out.
Okay, cool. So be sure and check that out, guys. You had a couple of articles, one about the Galaxy S3 being kind of a disappointment. That was actually kind of
Oh, yeah.
interesting. So be sure and check out that website, guys. And thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, no problem. Sorry for the thunder and
That's
lightning
all
and
right.
power kind of going out, and my backup battery kind of jumped up and kicked in.
Okay.
But it's hopefully it's a sign that the Celtics are going to play the Thunder later. But who knows?
Hopefully. Okay, we'll
See
see
you
you
guys
later.
later.
Bye. Well, thanks, Warren, for being on the show. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Yeah, one of the things about the expert list that I don't know if you guys knew this, is that we have several different experts, and they all have their own separate lists. So, sometimes you see the one aggregated list that the computer creates based on our results, and you kind of wonder, like, why is that phone in this spot? But when you look at our list, there's actually, there's kind of a nice variety, and you kind of get to see our different opinions on that. So when you see that main list, also click on the experts. We have our pictures there, and you can see all of our different lists. So again, thanks for being on the show, Warren, and let's move on now to speaking of the Galaxy S3. We finally have official ship dates, release dates, launch dates for all of them. It's going to be coming to AT&T, Verizon, Sprint, T-Mobile, and US Cellular. So basically, just a quick rundown. AT&T, it will supposedly ship on June 18th, so we're guessing that's also the launch date. You can pre-order it now. They'll have white and blue 16 and 32 gigabyte models starting at $199. Actually, there's no mention of a 32 gigabyte model. Instead, AT&T just mentioned that they sell 16 gigabyte cards. So like it seems like they're not going to have a 32 gigabyte model, but you can get the 16 gigabyte model for $200 and then buy a card, I guess, if you want it. AT&T is also going to have an exclusive red version later this year. Verizon pre-orders start June 6th, and they will be shipping by July 9th, and it will also be an international version. T-Mobile, June 21st, and theirs will be compatible with their 42 megabits per second HSPA Plus network. Sprint is also launching June 21st. Pre-order started day before yesterday, June 5th. And the Sprint version will also come preloaded with Google Wallet. And then finally, US Cellular pre-orders start June 12th. It will be a 4G phone for US Cellular, and then it's going to launch sometime in July. We don't have a full, an official release date, but sometime in July. So those are the dates. But one of the just awesome things about the Galaxy S3, and Warren kind of briefly mentioned this while we were on the call, Samsung really got it right with the Galaxy S3, and really, as someone else brought out, the way they put it, they finally got the carriers to play ball. Because if you remember with the original Galaxy S and the Galaxy S2, when it came to the US, it's on all these different carriers, and they all have different names, they have different designs, they have different screen sizes, different processors. One has a keyboard, another one's 4G, another one, all of them were completely different. And, to us, we all knew that they were the Galaxy S or the Galaxy S2, but, to the average person, it was like you had the Vibrant, or you had the Stratosphere, or you had the Epic. I mean, they all had different names and they all looked different. So, the average consumer didn't know that these were all a Galaxy S or Galaxy S2, which didn't really matter too much. But in terms of brand recognition, once somebody holds the Galaxy S3 and they're like, wow, I really like this phone, I want this, they just have to go to their carrier and they're like, Galaxy S3, I want that. They have it. That's all it's called. It's Galaxy S3. It's not the Epic or the Stratosphere or the Vibrant or any other crazy name they want to come up with. It's just the Galaxy S3. The hardware is the same, which, as Warren mentioned, is nice for, creating accessories. But it's also nice in terms of performance because they all have the same processor. It's all the Snapdragon S4 dual-core processor, which, by the way, is very comparable to the quad-core processor. I know a lot of people are disappointed about the US version not having a quad-core processor, but that S4 processor, it's super fast. I mean, if you use a phone that has that, like, you're not thinking about, wow, I wish this phone was faster, because you don't need it to be. It's a very speedy processor. So, but they all have the same one. So it's much, you're going to get a consistent experience. Not that, you're going to switch back and forth between carriers, but it's just nice to have that one phone on all carriers. Yes, like the iPhone, but there's a reason why that works. There's a reason why that's so good. Somebody can say, I have the iPhone, and everyone knows what it is. They know what to expect. They walk into a store and they know to buy one and they know what they're going to get. Everyone knows what it's called. There's a brand. People all of a sudden want that phone. They know what it's called. They know what to ask for. And now Samsung can have that with the Galaxy S3. They see someone with it and they're like, I want the Galaxy S3. I know what to ask for. I know what I'm going to get. It's a very, very good, it's a good thing for the Galaxy S3. So that I think that Samsung finally got the carriers to do that is just great. I mean, I remember the Galaxy S2, they all had different processors, screen sizes. It was a mess. It was ridiculous. And I mean, yeah, they were all good phones. It's not like customers were going to get a bad experience, but it would have made so much more sense for them all to just have same hardware, same screen, same design, same everything, and now they finally get that. Um, there's another win here, but I can't remember what it was. But anyway, so we do have an unboxing of the Galaxy S3, and Aaron is going to be doing a 30-day challenge with the Galaxy S3. And we haven't done a 30-day challenge in a while. We did a couple of them, and we haven't done one in a while. But Aaron's going to be doing a 30-day challenge with the Galaxy S3, which I think is very awesome. It's very helpful to you guys because, we get a phone, we do an unboxing, and then, maybe a day, maybe 2 days later, we have a review. And, we've been able to use it. We know it pretty well. We can tell you some details about how it performs and battery life and things like that. But there's some, like, little bugs or little kinks or just kind of hidden features that you can't really find until you use it for a couple of weeks. That's just the way it is with a phone. And so with these 30-day challenges, it really helps you to get, like, a full view of what the phone is actually like. So, but anyway, I'm really excited about the Galaxy S3. If I mentioned my top 5 list. I have the Galaxy S3 as number 1. It was a tough choice. I really like the 1X. I wanted to keep it as number 1, but I just couldn't. I mean, once I compared everything, it wouldn't have made sense, at least, from my point of view. So let's move on now to some Apple news, and then if we have time, we're going to talk about a couple of Google things and maybe some iPhone leaked videos. I don't know if you guys saw that leaked video of the guy he actually had the back plate shell. I mean, it's unibody design, so it's not just the back plate. It's like the back and then also the edges. So it was like basically this is what the iPhone's going to look like. I don't know if it's real or not, but anyway, that's a different topic. So the story. Apple has asked for a preliminary injunction against the Galaxy S3, which I think is dumb. And I have expressed my feelings about this on Twitter, and not everyone agreed with me. And this is kind of one of those things where, you may not agree. I mean, everybody feels differently about it. For me, it's not I don't want to say personal because they're not suing me, but for me it's not just straight up facts, because if you look at the facts, Apple says that Samsung has violated its patents. They've listed the patents. With the Galaxy S3, it's 2 patents. One is related to unified search, and the other one is called data tapping, which is basically whenever you you do a long press on a phone number or something, or some kind of text, and then the window will pop up. Actually, I have a picture for you guys so you can see exactly what Apple is talking about here. Let's see. So this is what Apple is talking about. So you've got, you select something and then a window pops up that gives you options where you can copy it, or if it's a phone number, you can call it or save it. That's one of the patents that Apple is talking about. So, if you look at this factually, I mean, yes, Samsung has, if Apple owns those patents, then, and Samsung is using that feature, then yeah, obviously that's patent infringement. So, from that point of view, like, I totally get that. And if you're okay with Apple suing everybody, then that's fine. But honestly, it's unnecessary. And I think I tweeted this. I think it shows that Apple is weak. I think it's cowardly. At the very least, I think it's just stupid. But for the mostly, it's a very cowardly move by Apple because yes, they're violating these patents, but for one thing, it's a small thing, but that's, I get it, it's a patent, so, whatever, even if it's small, you have to defend it. But also, there's so many other patents that they're probably infringing. If the next iPhone is an LTE device, they will be infringing on Samsung patents. There's just so many patents that everybody is kind of just working with. I think it's just very cowardly for Apple to be suing everybody over every little thing. And this isn't just about the fact that they're suing people. This is who they're suing. Okay, so look at this. In October of last year, a couple months ago, Strategy Analytics released its quarter three figures for global smartphone shipments, and Samsung was number one. They had 27.8 million shipments of smartphones globally, and Apple has 17.1 million shipments. So Samsung beat Apple. There it is. In November, the next month, Canalys released its quarter three statements, and HTC is the number one for US smartphone shipments with 5.7 million devices shipped. And then number two was Samsung, and then number three was Apple. So globally, you've got Samsung number one, Apple below that, and then in the US, you've got HTC number one, Samsung number two, and Apple number three. Guess who they're suing? Apple is suing Samsung and HTC. I mean, it clearly shows this isn't about patents. It's not about defending, well, we have this patent. It's not about that at all. Apple would like to make itself look like the victim here. They would like to make themselves look like, hey, we have a patent and you violated it. And everybody be like, oh, poor Apple. Apple wants to be the victim here. But Apple is not the victim. This is a bunch of BS. They're suing their main competitors, Samsung and HTC. And you know why? Because they're beating them. Because Samsung is beating them. They feel threatened. And I know this is such a typical argument. I know Android fanboys say this. Everybody says this. And you read it and you're like, seriously, really? But no, if you look at the numbers and then you look at what Apple is doing, it would be different if like Apple was suing LG. Because it would be like, okay, whatever, they're suing LG. Okay, but LG doesn't do crap, so Apple doesn't feel threatened by them. If this were about patents, Apple would sue freaking Huawei. They would sue LG. They would sue ZTE because all of these unified search and data tapping, that's an Android feature, okay? Which means it's Google. If this were really about patents, Apple would sue Google. But for one, it's not about patents, and two, Apple doesn't have the guts to do that. So cowardly, they're going to sue their competitors because they feel threatened, because Samsung has already had over 9 million pre-orders for the Galaxy S3. That's why they're doing this, and that's why it is freaking ridiculous. And I hope the judge, again, they might win, because like I said in the beginning, they have a point. Yes, HTC infringed on those patents, Samsung infringed on those patents, and if they win, then fine, okay, it makes sense, it's logical, but I just hope that the judge can see it past that, and really, again, back to what I said a minute ago, if okay, these patents are being infringed, but if it were really about defending themselves, sue the right person. Sue Google. That's an Android feature. And maybe I have this wrong legally, or maybe I'm looking at it the wrong way, and somebody correct me if I am. But if I'm not mistaken, those are Android features, which means it's Google that they should be suing. If they really cared about this, they should be suing Google, but they're not. They're suing and it's like people that bring out the car. Somebody, and I was talking about this on Twitter, and somebody brought out the car illustration. Like, well, if Chevy made a car that looked exactly like a Mustang and just named it something else, then Ford would have the right to sue them. And I'm like, yes, Ford would have the right to sue Chevy, but they would not sue the manufacturing company that made the car. That would make absolutely no sense. They would sue Chevy, the people who designed it, the people who made it. That's what Apple is essentially suing the manufacturing line that's making this stuff, when in reality, it should be Google. But it just shows that it's not about patents, that it's not about, you know, getting, having justice, that they feel threatened. I mean, why are they not suing Huawei or ZTE? They make Android phones that have unified search, that have the data tapping feature. They don't care because ZTE isn't doing anything. They don't feel threatened by them. And I think this is absolutely ridiculous. And I can understand if people feel differently, because they are patents, and I'm not gonna argue with that. This is the way I feel about it. And it was actually kind of funny because, so, I'm thinking about this, and I'm absolutely inflamed with, just, I'm so maddened by this. It's so ridiculous. And also, a lot of people have brought up that it's the patent system, that Apple is just taking advantage of the system, that you should really be blaming the government for having such a flawed system. Which is true. I mean, there's systems that have loopholes. But just because they have loopholes doesn't make it right to circumvent the system just because you can. I mean, there's such a thing as conscience, okay? And that's built into all of us. You don't have to have laws to know that it's wrong to kill somebody, okay? There's such a thing as conscience that you can also use making decisions. But anyway, as I was reading about this, and I was so mad, and I was about to just blow a fuse or something, I read this other article about how, so Apple is also suing Motorola, again, one of the largest smartphone makers in the world, and actually invented the smartphone. So Apple is suing Motorola, and I think they maybe had a preliminary injunction, and the trial was set to start on June 11th, which is in just a couple of days. Well, I guess the judge, he read over everything, and he decided to just throw out the case. He just threw it out, just canceled the whole trial. He said that he canceled the trial after rejecting the damage arguments that both sides made. Now, this is, I will admit, Motorola countersued. After Apple sued them, Motorola shot back with, well, you're infringing on our patents, which again is another reason why it does not make any sense for Apple to be suing these companies, because every time Apple sues somebody, that company just countersues for other patents. It's like, I mean, do you have a brain or not? Anyway, so the judge just threw it out because he's like, you know what? This is so dumb. Both of you are dumb, okay? Apple, you are selling millions of devices. Motorola, Samsung, they're selling millions of devices, and maybe Samsung is selling more devices. Maybe HTC is selling more devices. You know why they're selling more? Because their phones are better. Apple, maybe if you didn't have a freaking 2-inch screen with icons that we've been looking at for the past 10 years, maybe people would actually want to buy your phone instead of Android. That's my point. Anyway, I'm gonna stop before I get out of control. Did my voice crack? I didn't mean for my voice to crack. Sorry. But anyway, so I did want to let you guys know about that, but also just kind of share my thoughts. I do think it's completely unreasonable. I know they have the right, and I'm down with human rights and laws and justice. I'm down with all of that. And if the judge thinks that their sales are being hurt unfairly, like, Samsung intentionally made TouchWiz look like iOS so they could get more customers, and if people were actually confused and thought the Galaxy S was an iPhone, one, those people should be put in jail for being morons, but two, okay, yes, if it was, what's the word I'm looking for? If Samsung really did have bad motives, obviously I do want that to be punished. I think that's definitely true, but I don't think anybody mistook a Galaxy S for an iPhone, mostly because the phone itself looks different in enough ways. Anyway, that's also a different story. That's Apple in this trial with the Galaxy S3. They're not suing over like the similarities in looks. So that's not an issue right now. It's just these patents. But anyway, so we'll have to see. Again, I hope the judge does the right thing. If he does feel like Samsung had bad intentions, or maybe Apple tried to work with them and say, hey, we have this patent, please don't violate it, and Samsung said, screw you, we're going to do it anyway. Okay, fine. I get that. I'm okay with that. But I'm still upset by it. So, speaking of the iPhone, if you want to buy one, just in case you don't have a soul and you want to buy one, no, seriously, if you want to buy an iPhone, like that's totally okay. I recommend the iPhone to a lot of people, mostly because it is so simple to use, which, sometimes is, you know, for some people that's great. For other people, it's not. And so it's okay if you get an iPhone. I didn't mean to insult you. But if you do want to get one, but you didn't want to be under a contract, you now have so many other options. And this is pretty crazy because we kind of touched on this last week, but there's some more developments this week. So in addition to it's on 7 regional carriers like C Spire and Alaska Wireless and these other crazy regional carriers. So in addition to those and the large carriers like AT&T, it is now going to be offered on 2 prepaid carriers and possibly 3. And this is pretty cool. This is pretty great because I used to be on a prepaid carrier. We've talked about that because the prices are so freaking good. It's like you can't pass it up. But anyway, so some people, they're on a budget and they can't afford a $100-$200 cell phone bill every month, and so they got a prepaid carrier and it works great. But say maybe they want a really awesome phone and they're willing to save up for it. They're willing to pay the $500 initially. They just can't pay $200 every month. Up until now, there were some good options. There were some decent options depending on what you were looking for, but there weren't like some just knockout options. And so now having the iPhone, it's a really good option, and people deserve to have good options. Just because you're on a budget doesn't mean you can't have good things. So Cricket is going to be offering the iPhone on June 22nd. I think this is the one that we talked about last month. It'll be last week. It'll be $400 for the 8GB iPhone 4, and then $500 for the 16GB iPhone 4S. So $500 is kind of a lot, but if you have it, you can if you're willing to pay $500, which seems like a lot, but think about how much you'll save per month because Cricket's plans are $55 a month, which comes with unlimited talk, text, and data, up to 2.3 gigabytes. So $55 a month is really not bad. And then now Virgin Mobile is going to be offering the iPhone and the iPhone 4S, which makes complete sense. When you think about it, since Virgin Mobile is owned by Sprint and Sprint has the iPhone, it's kind of like, why was this not done like 6 months ago? So that is going to start on June 29th, and it'll be $549 for the 8GB iPhone 4 and $649 for the 16GB iPhone 4S. So which deal is better? Well, Cricket, since it's like $100 cheaper. If you want the iPhone 4S, it's $650 on Virgin Mobile, and whereas it's only $500 on Cricket, so you're going to save about $150. Of course, if you don't have Cricket coverage, then Virgin Mobile is the way to go. Virgin Mobile's plans start at $35 a month for 300 minutes and unlimited messaging and data, again up to 2.5 gigabytes. There's a $45 per month plan with 1,200 minutes, unlimited messaging and data, and then $55 unlimited everything. So that $35 a month for 300 minutes and unlimited messaging and data, that's a really great deal. I mean, $300, 300 minutes doesn't sound like a lot, but I don't know about you, but I never talk on the phone. I mean, like, I text everybody, or I email them, or I see them all the time, so I would probably never use 300 minutes. That makes me sound like I have no friends. I do have friends, but we just text all the time, which I hate texting, but everybody does it, so. And then we're hearing that it could be coming to Boost Mobile, and this we already knew about last week. But so it potentially on three prepaid carriers, Cricket, Virgin Mobile, and Boost Mobile, which I think is pretty awesome. One for those on a budget, you now have a good option if you want to save up and get a good phone, but still save money every month. Or if you want to get the iPhone now, and then when the new one comes out, you won't be under contract. You can just go get the new one. Speaking of the iPhone, I mentioned earlier, and then I had to move on. Oh wait, you know what? Breaking news! Breaking news! Woo woo! Okay, we will see iOS 6 at WWDC. I know that's not huge breaking news, but it's been confirmed now. We know it for a fact. We are going to see iOS 6 at WWDC. In fact, we know this because a banner is now being put up. So you can see it there. It has a new logo. Someone mentioned that. Not a lot of differences. I think the difference is the gradient, the texture in the background is a little bit different. But we are going to see iOS 6, so I want to tell you guys about that. But anyway, I wanted to talk about this leaked video of the iPhone backplate that I was talking about earlier, but we're not going to have time because I want to move on to the open Q&A. So let's do that. And if you want to ask me about that video, then you can, but I just want to make sure that we at least get to the open Q&A. That way we can talk about what you guys want to talk about. You might not even want to talk about the iPhone 4 or 4S or 5, whatever, the next iPhone. So, Ustream guys, ask me a question if you would like to. I will also be on Facebook. If you're on YouTube, leave your question there. I read those comments. I try to answer some if I can, at least the ones for guys that aren't being jerkwads. And even then, I still read the jerkwad comments. I just don't respond to them. So, okay. Yay, no more iPhone. I know, sometimes it gets tiring, and I know some people, the last thing they want to hear about is the iPhone, but, some people are interested in it, so. Okay. Jack Tech, you were here last week. Can't think of a question today. I usually can. That's okay. Is there an adapter to allow iPod Touch 4th generation to have a 3G connection? I don't know, but that doesn't mean anything. That's not a yes or no. I'm just not sure. I've never really looked into it, so I don't know. Where can I find that video? It's actually on PhoneDog. It was from a couple of days ago, or no, maybe it was just yesterday. Let me see if it's still on our homepage. Yeah, so it's on our homepage. If you go on the news column, it's kind of towards the bottom, and you can see there's a video there. Sydney, I guess you won't be going to WWDC. I think Aaron is, but I'm not sure. What do you think about the Asus Pad phone? I think it's awesome. Yesterday I watched a couple of reviews on it, and I think the concept is completely cool. Having a phone and then the tablet shell, but I mean, it's maybe you don't want to buy a $500 phone and a $500 tablet. You can just, buy these two and then, you have a tablet. I think that's awesome. Asus makes good tablets anyway, so the hardware design I think looks great. The pin as like a Bluetooth headset, that's a little weird, but if you're totally comfortable with yourself using that in public, still cool. And then on top of that, it's basically like once you plug in the phone and have it as a tablet, it's basically like a Transformer Prime because you also have the keyboard dock. I think it just kind of unifies everything. Like that's always been my problem. I'm like, okay, why do I need a phone and a tablet that has a keyboard? I have all these separate things, why do I need them all? But it unifies it all together, and I think it's a great idea. What phones do you use more? Do you still have your HD7? How can you live without a front-facing camera? I never video chat. I mean, I test phone. I mean, I'm using a phone now that has a front-facing camera, and I don't use it for anything. So, um, what do you think will be your next daily driver? I'm not sure. I thought a lot about switching and getting the Lumia 900. However, since current Windows Phone devices are probably not going to be upgraded to Windows Phone 8, I'm a little wary of upgrading right now. Um, and then also on top of that, we've heard rumors that Nokia is going to release another Lumia 900 that's going to be like slightly better. That'll have I can't remember. There was like a couple of things that were going to be improved, so I'm kind of been waiting to see if that's actually true or not. It was just a rumor. What do you think of the pad phone display monitor? The pad phone display monitor. Um, are you talking about the display or the tablet? I'm not sure. Oh, okay. I see what you're talking about. Okay. I haven't had a chance to read very much about it. Obviously don't have any hands-on time with it, so I couldn't really tell you. Um, so how do you feel about apps? I love Windows Phone, but the only turn down is a lack of popular apps. Um, Actually, just announced yesterday or today, Windows Phone hit 100,000 apps. So, yay, Windows Phone. My thoughts on apps, I don't use a lot of apps. There's a lot of people that download tons of apps, one for everything they do. And I don't know what it is, even when I was on Android and there's like 500,000 apps available. I don't really use a lot of apps. And so for me, it was never really a big deal. But that's usage habits. I mean, everybody's different. So if you use a lot of apps, then that's definitely going to be a problem. There were a couple of popular apps that I did use. I mean, I need a Twitter app. There was a couple of other things I can't think of. And when I switched, I found replacements. Most of them, they were the official app. And then the ones that didn't have an official app, they had a great third party replacement. It wasn't like a cheap app designed by like some kid in his basement. I mean, they're quality apps that do, whatever it is I was trying to do. So, yeah, to me, it's not really a problem. But if you do use a lot of apps, then yeah, I would definitely keep that in mind. Um, what would need to change in the new iPhone for you to consider it? A larger display, definitely. Something with widgets. And I was going to mention this earlier when Warren and I were talking about it. Um, like Apple should not do widgets the way that Android does it. Like we've seen a lot of renders of people like this is how Apple should do widgets with iOS. And it's always basically like Android. There's the icons and then one of the rows is a widget. I mean it's pretty much like Android. And I don't think they should do it that way because it's just not right. You have to be creative. You have to find your own way to do it. And I think Apple is capable of doing that. I mentioned actually, last week we were talking about this. Apple has its own system for widgets. It's not for iOS yet, but it's for macOS, macOS 10. There's a widgets page. You can scroll over to a different page from the desktop, and you have widgets there. They're very Apple-like, the design. The setup is different, from what we would see on Android if they were to implement that system of like scrolling over and okay, here's all my widgets. It could possibly be a hassle, so maybe like a button to get there, but they're not going to do buttons. I don't know how they would do it, but I think widgets, in some way, Apple needs to find a way to take that idea and make it their own. And I used a Windows Phone as an example. Live tiles, they're basically widgets. It's part of your home screen that updates you on whatever it is, whether it's my Twitter mentions or my emails or my messages, or my calendar. It'll tell me how many new messages I have, or what new items I have, or what calendar events. I mean, it's basically that concept, but it looks different. It's implemented in a completely different way. Microsoft really made it their own. Apple needs to do that. Find a way to take that idea and make it their own. So widgets, a larger display, 4G, it's got to be a 4G phone. It has to be a 4G phone. There's no excuses. Bottom line, the next iPhone has to be a 4G phone. And I think those are really the biggest things. I mean, those are huge things, but what if it only had a larger display and LTE, but it didn't have widgets? Um, I probably wouldn't be interested in it, but I could understand if someone who previously thought about leaving iPhone, or maybe they're an iPhone fan, and I wouldn't blame them. I wouldn't be like, well, you're only sticking with it because it's the iPhone. I could understand, like, okay, it's got a larger display and it's LTE, and beyond that you like the OS, which is great. Um, Dashboard, yeah, that's what it's called on Mac OS. Why do you think Sony isn't big in the US? Mobile-wise, they make great devices with killer cameras, and their new UI is good. I'm not sure. Really couldn't tell you. Sydney, I took my dad's upgrade in December, but I want a new phone now or soon I will lose my unlimited plan. I'm going from 4G to 4G. Do you mean 4G to 3G? And when is Verizon starting the upgrade kills your unlimited plan thing? That I should know that. Let me see. That was just a couple of weeks ago. There we go. Okay. Right. Okay. It's when you upgrade to a 4G phone, or a 4G plan. That's when you lose unlimited data. So that's when the unlimited plan goes away when you upgrade to 4G. Um, so you just got a new phone in December and you want a new phone now. Will I lose? Yeah, if you upgrade to 4G, you will lose your unlimited plan. Should you get a new phone now? I mean, December wasn't that long ago. If you have the money to be upgrading every, 3, 4 months, then more power to you. But depending on what phone you got, I would say try to be content with that, at least for 6 months. I mean, um, do you like Game of Thrones? I've never tried it, never played it. No, I meant I'm keeping 4G. Oh, okay, so if you're keeping 4G, then your unlimited data should be gone. Do you know how much RAM the Huawei Activa 4G from Metro PCS? No, but I could easily Google that. Or you could, but I'll do it for you. I am only going to click on one thing, and then I'm going to get back to comments. Yeah, I don't know, but you could Google it and probably easily find it. Okay, I got the iPhone 4S a couple of months ago, and should I be regretting it because with the Galaxy S3 news and all? No, I mean the 4S is a good phone. If you like it, then you like it. I mean, the best phone on the market is the one that you're happy with. I mean, if it's what you want and it fills all of your needs, then it's the best phone on the market. If you'd rather have the Galaxy S3, then yeah, go for it. I mean, the Galaxy S3 is easily better than the iPhone 4S, just in terms of specs, features, performance and all that. But I mean, if you don't feel like you have to upgrade, if you have the cash, then go for it. But no, I mean, just be happy with what you have. Voice crack. I know. I have water, but so like I told you guys, I've been drinking like tons of water lately, and so in order to help myself to make sure that I'm getting my daily allotment of water, I bought this giant water container. It looks huge, especially next to my head, but it's actually only 64 ounces. Sticker. 64 ounces, which is what I'm supposed to have like 60 ounces, I think. So I've been drinking this all day, but I didn't want to drink it on camera because it's like huge and monstrous. Uh, has there been any news on the Sony Xperia Ion? Not anything new that I can think of. We heard that it could be coming to AT&T in June, which is this month, but nothing beyond that. That's a lot of vodka. It's not vodka, it's water, okay? It's just water. And you know what's funny? I've been drinking from this all day, like all day. And, I looked at it today before I got started with the show, and I was like, God, I haven't had any of this. I'm gonna have to chug it. Uh, I know, that's all I've drank. It's freaking ridiculous. Yeah, of course, I've just been taking sips from it, just whenever I want to. I have it sitting on my desk, but I'm gonna have to drink a lot when I get home. Is it tequila? It's not tequila, it's water. I don't drink on the job. That's wrong. Love your hair today. Thank you. Thanks. I drink water 24/7. Where'd you buy that? I need a 64-ounce bottle. I bought it at Walmart. Yeah, it was like $1. Literally. I think it was actually $1. So. Are you planning on getting the Galaxy S3? I don't know. We'll have to see how it goes. I'll check it out in the store. Can you show off your wedding ring? I guess so. I mean, it's my wedding ring. It's a princess cut diamond. And then is this white gold or is it platinum? I don't even remember. It's not a really big deal to me, the whole wedding ring thing. I never wanted one of those, like, huge, gaudy, giant rocks. I see people with those. I'm just like, God, isn't that uncomfortable? Because I don't like when I want to lean my head on my hand. It's uncomfortable having this thing here, and so I always twist it around. That way it's just flat, But anyway, we got it at Jared. Yeah, he went to Jared. I went with him, though, so I picked it out. You should have gotten married when you were 65 and retired. Okay. Oh my gosh, it's 5:01. I just realized it's been an hour. Okay. Well, this was fun. I completely lost track of time. So, good show. Thanks, guys, for being here. If I missed your question, I'm really sorry. I try to get to all of them. If you're on YouTube, I'll try to answer those, the ones that I can. But other than that, I hope you enjoyed the show. I'll see you guys next week, same time, 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Ustream, or if you're on YouTube, if you watch the recording. But I guess that's it. I'll see you guys later. Bye.